It's the political breakup heard round the world.
All right, folks, buckle up because this one is wild. We've got what might be the biggest MAGA breakup since ever. Trump is completely cutting off Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of his most loyal allies, right as Congress is gearing up to vote on releasing the Epstein files. And MTG is out here basically implying the timing is no coincidence. This clip has everything: betrayal, accusations, Epstein conspiracies, foreign influence allegations. It's political daytime TV with nuclear stakes. So let's dive in, pause by pause, and break down what really went down in this shocking political split.
President Trump severing ties with at least one of his closest allies, declaring, "I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene," even calling for primary challenges against his one-time loyalists and attacking her as, quote, wacky, a ranting lunatic, a rhino, and a traitor.
Okay, hold up. Trump went full WWE promo on MTG. Wacky, lunatic, traitor. This is like watching the celebrity divorce, but with nuclear codes. And look, Trump knows how to brand people. If he calls you a rhino, that sticks harder than Gorilla Glue. But calling MTG a traitor? That's the political equivalent of pressing the red button. You don't drop that word on someone who's been flying your flag harder than anyone in Congress. Already, I'm thinking, why now? Why scorch one of your top soldiers days before the Epstein files drop? This breakup is not random, and you can feel it.
This is days before the House of Representatives is set to vote on releasing the Epstein files. It's a stunning breach between two MAGA leaders, one of whom is here with me now exclusively for her first interview since the president cut ties. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, thank you so much for being here, as you just heard. And I know you saw the president says he's withdrawing support for you, encouraging primary challengers. You were one of his biggest supporters. What do you think happened here?
This question right here, this is the moment everyone's leaning in like, okay, MTG, be honest. What's the real tea? Because Trump doesn't just cut people off. You basically have to commit political arson for that to happen. The man stood by Jeff Sessions longer than anyone logically should have. So if MTG, of all people, gets the boot, something big is brewing behind the scenes. You don't nuke an ally unless there's a massive strategic play or a massive panic.
Well, Dana, thank you for having me on, and that is true. I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected, and I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration, and I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong.
Yeah, you can hear the sting. MTG looks like someone who found out her best friend unfriended her in a group chat. And let's be real, calling her traitor is overkill. MTG has been a ride or die MAGA since day one. She campaigned for Trump harder than most people campaign for themselves. And now he's tossing out the traitor label like it's the Black Friday sale? It's messy, it's emotional, and again, the timing is suspicious as hell.
And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files.
Boom. There it is. The line that launched 1,000 conspiracy theorists into orbit. MTG is flat out saying the nuclear meltdown between her and Trump is over the Epstein files. And honestly, that would explain the level of intensity here. You don't blow up a loyalist over small policy disagreements. But the Epstein documents, those are political dynamite. Once she said this part, the entire interview turned from a breakup story into a thriller.
And that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations. And I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files. And I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
You said on X yesterday, quote, "It's astonishing really how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, and that it really makes you wonder what is in those files."
She said the quiet part out loud. And look, even if you love Trump, you have to admit when someone fights really hard to stop files from coming out, people are going to ask questions. That's just human nature. But MTG throwing this out publicly, that's like dropping a match in a fireworks factory. And she knows it. You can tell she's leaning into the role of truth teller here, almost daring Trump to respond.
Are you suggesting there's something in the Epstein files that President Trump does not want Americans to see?
Well, I think that's the part that has so many people confused, is that the women themselves that I have talked to have over and over again said that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Quite a few of them even told me they voted for him. And those are the women I would like to see in the Oval Office with support. I would like to see all of the women there with support. I have no idea what's in the files. I can't even guess, but that is the questions everyone is asking, is why fight this so hard?
Well, before this blow-up, you sort of alluded to this just now. You said you were confident the president wouldn't be implicated. Are you still confident of that?
I'm listening to the women. Those are the ones that are saying that he did nothing wrong. Virginia Giuffre even said under oath that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, and she wrote it in her book. So I'm continuing to listen to the women, and I think their voices should be the loudest.
The president said the reason that you have been critical of him is not necessarily Epstein, but because he pushed you not to run for the Senate or for governor in Georgia. How and when did he do that?
Well, that is absolutely not true. Actually, I never had a conversation at all with the president about running for Senate or running for Georgia. And those were decisions I came to on my own, that I don't want to have anything to do with the Senate. I think the past 2 months of the government shutdown should have shown America exactly why I would never want to be there. I think it's a very broken institution that serves the uniparty and doesn't serve the American people and how they vote. And I decided that I didn't want to run for governor this cycle either. I very much want to do the job that I'm in. Everyone else says I'm running for something, but all I want to do is serve Georgia's 14th district, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
So he said it pretty explicitly. Are you saying he's lying?
Dana Bash out here instigating like she's hosting a reality show reunion. Are you saying he's lying? MTG tries to dodge, but let's be honest. The subtext is screaming. She's basically implying Trump's team is feeding him nonsense or he's being reckless. This is how GOP civil wars start. A little accusation here, a little miscommunication there, and suddenly you got two nuclear missiles pointing at each other.
Or did he at least get that message to somebody on your political team instead?
I'm not sure. But I don't. That is untrue. What he said. I don't know if he's being fed wrong information. I honestly have no idea in that area, but it is absolutely factually not true. Nor have I called him, and White House logs would prove that. His own cell phone records would prove it. I have not been calling the president, but I did post messages that I had sent to him, and that was to protect, get involved. This is important. The American people want the Epstein files released. And, I've stood with the president. I have disagreed with him at times, Dana. And I'm allowed to do that. I think that's the most important thing we can do as Americans. And I'm urging my party. I've been putting massive pressure on my party and our speaker to pass the agenda that the American people vote for. That's the agenda that I fought for. Those are the campaign promises I made. And I can disagree with the president at times, particularly this past Monday on the Marines' 250th anniversary, when he honored the new Syrian president, who is an al-Qaeda terrorist and was wanted by our government for years with a $10 million bounty up until March of this year. I very much am against that. I think that was very hurtful to the great men and women who served over in the Middle East and were sent there, and many of them that were killed and injured and live with PTSD to this day from fighting al-Qaeda. So there's things I disagree with, and I'm allowed to do so.
Okay, so on that, I do want to ask you about something you posted just yesterday on X. You questioned who and what country is putting so much pressure on Trump to keep the Epstein files hidden. And you included a picture about donations from pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC. What are you trying to say there?
Well, I think it's the question that many Americans are asking, especially when we saw information recently come out in these emails that the Oversight Committee that I serve on has released. And we saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them, also business deals that involved the Israeli government, and seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? And I'm proud to say I don't take money from AIPAC. I don't take money from any special group of people. I'm just representing my district and the American people. And so that's what I was referring to.
I just want to be clear. Are you saying Israel is pushing the president of the United States to cover up the Epstein files? And what evidence do you have that that is the case?
I simply just asked out loud, is there a foreign government? It could be any foreign government, but is a foreign government pushing to keep this covered up?
Okay, so whoa there, Slasher. You went from political breakup to global espionage in 0.3 seconds. And here's the thing. You don't casually toss out phrases like foreign government pressure unless you're ready for the entire internet to catch fire. Whether you agree or not, she's basically hinting that powerful international forces don't want the Epstein list out. That's tinfoil hat territory, but the kind where the tinfoil starts looking more like aluminum armor once the official documents actually drop.
Because people just don't understand the big fight against.
Well, you had
releasing these
AIPAC
files.
up there. It was pretty clear which government you were talking about.
That I'm questioning that government in particular and questioning any other foreign government.
But I do want to end this conversation with a question to you. And that is, do you see a situation where you and President Trump can make up?
The million-dollar question. Can MAGA mom and MAGA dad get back together? MTG clearly wants reconciliation. Trump probably wants dominance. The dynamic has shifted. Once you accuse someone of blocking Epstein files, that's not exactly something you shake hands and forget. But here's the big picture. If Trump and MTG stay at war, the entire movement fractures. And the establishment GOP, they would love that. So this ending feels less like closure and more like a cliffhanger for the next episode.
And if not, do you think you have a future in the GOP?
Well, I certainly hope that we can make up. And there's, again, I can only speak for myself. I'm a Christian, and one of the most important parts of our faith is forgiveness. And that's something I'm committed to. That's why I can easily come on your show that is watched all over the world, and I can say things I'm sorry for, and I can try to set an example of how I think we should move forward as Americans. And so, of course, on my end, I believe in that, and I certainly hope to see that happen.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, I appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dana.
So here's where we land. This whole Trump MTG fallout isn't just political drama. It's a stress test for the entire America First movement. The timing, the accusations, the Epstein files hanging over everything like a ticking bomb. None of this is random. And the truth is, we're about to find out who's actually fighting for transparency and who's just fighting for power. Because once those documents drop, a lot of people, left, right, center, doesn't matter, are going to be exposed. And the political world is already scrambling. So whether Trump and MTG patch things up or go full civil war, one thing is certain. The Epstein files are the earthquake, and this breakup is just the early tremor. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because this story is only getting started, and I'll be here following every twist in real time. Stay sharp, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.